Hello everybody and welcome to another deep dive on Peace Beats with Dan Blackwell. Today we are getting into Screech's Tale, which is part 2 of the tale of Jenny and Screech by REN. I've decided to do these deep dives as individual videos for each 3 songs because I'm going, deep into kind of all the major powerful lines in it and talk about what's going on musically and why it matters. I think it would just be too much information to take in, and I think some of the depths and elements of the songs would be lost if I tried to do the whole trilogy as a deep dive. I may release all of them together as one long form video. If you guys would like, let me know in the comments. But it may be about 90 minutes to maybe even 2 hours once I've finished all of these and put them all together. Because there's just so much to go into. Each song is individually rich. As a trilogy, it's a fantastic thing. It's cohesive and makes sense and all kind of joins together at the end. But I think it's also nice to look at these as individual songs as well, so that nothing is kind of lost from the intricacies of each one individually. Now with this one, Screech's Tale in particular, I've gone more line for line on this one, on this breakdown when I've been doing my research and looking into it and analysing it. So it's maybe slightly more in depth than the first 2 deep dives I've done. Let me know how I'm doing with these deep dives. I'm new to it and I would love feedback, and just keep on developing these, and I want them to get better and better and better as I, keep on working on them. So I think that's enough of me talking for now. Let's listen to the guitar intro of Screech's Tale and talk about what's going on here, what REN is doing and why. So before a single word is spoken, the atmosphere speaks. This is one of REN's most haunting guitar intros, and it's no accident. Musically, it opens in E standard tuning, just like the previous song, fingerpicked in a minor key and danced across higher frets. The melodic phrases are sort of unstable and weaving between dissonance and resolution with unexpected pull-offs, slides and flourishes. The guitar phrases feel jagged yet delicate, a reflection of Screech's fractured state of mind. I think that REN uses this intro to create unease. Repeated motifs loop like obsessive thoughts. Every note feels intentional, like the ticking of a clock, counting down to something terrible. A few key techniques that I think are worth noting are the pull-offs and hammer-ons, which we saw in Jenny's Tale as well, that make the melody feel fluid and human, kind of like somebody nervously fidgeting, I feel, is the sort of visual image I get from this performance. He uses sliding intervals, like on the G string, from the 7th fret to the 5th to the 4th. This introduces unsettling movement, like there's no safe harmonic home. There's also descending phrases that suggest a psychological spiral, musically hinting that something or someone is going down. There's a slight flamenco or Latin influence buried in the phrasing, as there often sort of seems to be with REN's guitar playing. But instead of passion, it feels more like decay. This isn't warmth, it's the last flicker of a dying light. By the time the first lyric hits, you're already inside the emotional space, isolated, haunted, and on edge. REN sort of lets the silence breathe at the end of this. Like, the guitar intro is like the emotional prologue, and its final note is the door creaking open to the tragedy about to unfold. So let's listen to part 2.
Our story, it starts right at the end. Heard the life of poor Jenny, clocked out like Big Ben. Dear Screech, dear boy, where did he go? He melted into the black night just like snow.
A story, it starts right at the end of the life of poor Jenny. So just as the final note of the haunting intro fades, Ren's voice enters, a little bit more quiet, almost whispered, and he doesn't begin with Screech, he begins with the end of the previous song in this series, Jenny's Tale. This line sets the tone. Screech's tale isn't about redemption or escape, it's a post-mortem, a psychological autopsy, if you like. The story begins at Jenny's end, creating a cyclical narrative that traps both characters in a loop of fate. I really love the line, clocked out like Big Ben. This line it's short, but it's devastating. Clocked out is slang for death, and Big Ben roots it squarely in London, a local tragedy in a sprawling city. But it also carries irony. Big Ben, the symbol of time and tradition in London, contrasts sharply with a young life cut short. The metaphor equates Jenny's death with the end of something monumental. This Screech, dear boy, where did he go? Ren shifts tone here, almost like more conversational, I think, like a detective or a storyteller speaking to us directly. It's intimate and familiar, but ominous. The phrasing, dear boy, gives Screech more of a childlike quality, I think, reminding us how young he really is and how far he's fallen. He's melted into the black night just like snow. This final line is stunningly poetic. There's a ghostliness to it. It suggests disappearance, quietness, even innocence. And yet it's so cold. Snow is beautiful, but it's fleeting. Screech, who committed an act of horror, is already vanishing from the scene, erased by the very night he was born from. Musically, the guitar here is sparse, mostly picked chords with restrained voicings. The chords E minor, A major, C major, and B major cycle like a breath, soft and slow. It mirrors the fallout of trauma, the numbness, the inability to fully process what's just happened. Okay, let's get into the next part. It rang out again a little bit like at the end of sort of the guitar intro. We were kind of left on a note, and then Ren comes back in, knocking on his guitar, knocking on the door.
Patrick, man, let me in, please open the door. I think I fucked up, Patrick, really fucked up, man, I'm not sure. I got crazy, left this lady lying still on the floor. I think I killed her, Patrick, come on, man, I can't knock no more. But Screech kept on knocking till his knuckles became sore. But there's no sign of Patrick down at number 54. No refuge for our villain, for the bitter hands of fate, with something far more sinister in mind that does away.
I really love that guitar line. I said it in my first reaction, I'll say it again. It's just so beautiful. So, I say, we have the knock, and then we've got heavy power chords kicking in. That's E5, G5, and F sharp 5. I'll talk about what those chords are and why Ren's using them in a moment, but first let's look at the first line. Patrick, man, let me in, please open the door. Screech bursts into the frame with desperation. No build-up, no breath, just raw panic. Gone is the cold, poetic tone of the intro, and in its place we have power chords, low and crunchy. It's not delicate anymore, it's confrontation. Musically, Ren switches to power chords in low positions, stripping harmony down to its most primal components, the root note and the fifth interval. This creates a blunt, aggressive tone, a sonic reflection of Screech's spiraling loss of control. The lack of thirds means there's no clarity between major or minor, just raw force. And the next line is, I think I fucked up, Patrick, really fucked up, man, I'm not sure. Lyrically, we're witnessing the immediate aftermath of Jenny's death, and Screech is frantically seeking absolution, or perhaps just shelter, somewhere to kind of hide from the danger he may have put himself in. There's no remorse yet, just fear of consequence. He says, I got crazy, left a lady laying still on the floor. He tries to explain it away here, I think, distancing himself from the reality of what's happened. The phrase, a lady laying still, is a chilling euphemism, one that screams denial. I think I killed her, Patrick. This is the first time he admits it, but even here he says, I think, as if still trying to dodge accountability. We have a musical build throughout this. The relentless E5 chugs like a pounding on the door, over and over with no reply. The chords don't resolve. Instead, they feel stuck, just like Screech himself. There's no melody here either, no relief, just percussive urgency. So then we have that line that I love so much that we go into. The music shifts to a melancholic minor progression. We have E minor, G, and G6, and then a shift where the next line is, but Screech kept on knocking till his knuckles became sore. The tone drops. We fall into a sad observational perspective. Ren switches from playing Screech, he switches from playing Screech to narrating him here. Sorry, there's a dog running about in places they shouldn't be. Come here. They're not going to listen to me. So what I was saying is that Ren switches from playing Screech, acting Screech, to narrating him here. The guitar shifts from power to finger-picked E minor and G chords, soft but sinister, like fate turning the page. But there's no sign of Patrick down at number 4. Patrick isn't answering. The one person Screech turns to is gone. The abandonment here is symbolic, not just of Patrick, but of society. Screech is left to rot in the consequences he's created. No refuge for our villain, for the bitter hands of faith. Ren starts moralizing here, pushing Screech into the role of a classic tragic villain, one whose story was already written by hands larger than his own. Have something far more sinister in mind that does await. This foreshadowing is chilling. The phrasing tightens, the cadence feels like a noose, and the music hangs in mid-air, leaving the listener in suspense. Let's listen to part 4 now.
Does away. Hey, babe, are you in? Nah, nothing really. I'm just a bit tired. Listen, can I swing around yours for a few moments? I just really miss you, babe. What the fuck do you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch! For fuck's sakes!
So suddenly at this point we enter a phone call and the whole track shifts in tone. We've moved from frantic confession to invasive intimacy. No background chords, no musical build-up anymore, just voice and stillness. It's claustrophobic, and we're eavesdropping on a toxic relationship in real time. We don't know what she's saying, but we can tell her tone is flat, right? Like tired, disengaged, and Screech, now vulnerable, reaches out, not in love, but in need. He says, nah, nothing really, I'm just a bit tired. You know, she's kind of being a bit distant, I think, and to Screech, this small boundary is unbearable. He says, listen, can I swing around yours for a few minutes? I just really miss you. It's manipulative sweetness, isn't it? And then we have a sharp turn. What the fuck you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch, for fuck's sake. The emotional whiplash of this, I think, is brutal. In 6 lines, we witness the full cycle of emotional volatility and possessive control. Screech's pain isn't quiet, it lashes out. And in this moment, his character unravels more than ever. So, the thematic breakdown of this section, I feel we have emotional dependency that's masquerading as affection. We have toxic masculinity erupting the moment control slips out of Screech's hands. And we have patterned behavior, right? This isn't just a one-off slip. It's a window into who Screech is when he's denied something, right? And why this matters is this section isn't a filler. It reveals that Screech's violence wasn't random. His aggression is part of a pattern of entitlement and emotional instability. The same entitlement that killed Jenny is now aimed at someone else, someone who dared say no to him. Now the musicality, you know, like the fact of not having any music here, I think it gives Screech's voice nowhere to hide in a sense, and the silence is kind of used as a tool. The absence of music sort of magnifies discomfort, I think, and it feels raw, like you're witnessing something you shouldn't. Again, at the end of this section, Ren lets the final line just hang there, like, you fucking bitch, for fuck's sake, and it just hangs. It lets it feel as vile and as hollow as it should. Because now, after this section, we have justice coming. So let's see what that justice is in part 5, which I call the confrontation.
Siren sounds approaching like a banshee in the night. The shrill cry of justice cutting like the sharpest knife. But Screech was never one to run, not one to miss a fight. One hand upon his blade, he turned to face the blue lights. Come on then, you fucking cunts, let's fucking have you then. I am Screech, I'm the boss, I'm the ender of men. You think that uniform you're wearing means that you own these streets? These are my fucking streets, and they call me fucking Screech. Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3", working London on the night shift. What he didn't think he'd see was a boy running at him like an animal possessed. With no time to hesitate, he fired 4 bullets at Screech's chest.
It never loses its weight, this song, does it? So the music shifts dramatically again, and we have these power chords kicking in. And this is where the tension boils over. Sirens sound approaching, like a banshee in the night. This line is mythic. In Irish folklore, a banshee's wail signals death. That's what these sirens have become, not a sign of help, but an omen. Justice is coming, and it's screaming. The shrill cry of justice cutting like the sharpest knife. The metaphor of justice as a blade says it all, I think. It's no longer about law, it's punishment, precise and brutal. Every word lands like a stab, and the guitar mirrors this with its harsh, clipped rhythm, right? But Screech isn't running. One hand upon his blade, he turned to face the blue light. We see him literally draw his knife, facing down the police. It's suicidal, but to him it's honor, it's theatre, it's everything he's ever known. Then comes the explosion. Come on then, you fucking cunts, let's fucking have you then. Bar chords on E minor and G ring out like sirens of war. This isn't music anymore, it's a battle cry. Ren strums once per chord, letting them echo, letting Screech's rage reverberate into the void. I am Screech, I am the boss here, I am the ender of man. It's delusion at its peak. A 14-year-old, wielding trauma and a knife, declaring himself the harbinger of death. But he believes it. In that moment, he is that in his mind. You think that uniform you're wearing means you own these streets. This is where the character blurs with society's reality. Screech doesn't see cops, he sees enemies, oppressors. The streets made him, now he claims them. Well, these are my fucking streets and they call me fucking Screech. It's the last stand of a broken child. And musically, we really feel it, right? Like the guitar stabs dry, overdriven, and deliberately staccato like punches in the dark. And then, from the shadows comes Officer Richard. Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3". Notice the calm now. As the chords, they simplify. Ren brings the volume down, a narrative sort of decrescendo, right? It's not about Screech's chaos anymore, it's about fate. What he didn't think he'd see was a boy running at him like an animal possessed. No build-up, no pause, just instinct. Richard reacts. With no time to hesitate, he fired 4 bullets at Screech's chest. The guitar stops. We have 4 percussive, muted hits. Palm muted and choking on the strings. They're not notes, they're gunshots. And it's over. Now we have part 6, which sort of concludes this part of the story.
Our story, it ends right at the start. Young Screech and poor Jenny lying 1 street apart. An officer shaken by the boy that he claimed. 2 bodies lay lifeless, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame.
I love the way the lights kind of fade there. It's almost like you're seeing through Screech's eyes, and the lights just kind of blur into nothingness, you know? Whew. The fury fades, the distortion dissolves, and just like that we return to stillness. A story, it ends right at the start. The lyric is poetic recursion. The narrative loops in on itself. We began Screech's tale with Jenny's death, and now we end Screech's tale with his own. It's a tragedy written in circles, no progress, just collateral. The chords E minus, A, C, and B, they kind of hang like echoes in a cathedral or something, don't they? There's no sort of rhythmic drive anymore, just breath between each line, space for grief. Young Screech and poor Jenny lying 1 street apart. This is one of the most devastating lines in the entire trilogy, I think. It's not just about geography, it's about how close they were to different lives. A few decisions, a few steps, but they were always fated to die near each other. 1 street apart, like parallel lines that never intersect. An officer shaken by the boy he claimed. The word claimed, I think, is a heavy part of this sentence. Richard didn't just shoot a boy, he shot a symptom, a consequence. A kid sort of shaped by pain and by abandonment, by the same streets he was supposed to patrol. The music doesn't rush anymore, it mourns. 2 bodies lay lifeless, and it's such a shame. The repetition of the line, it's such a shame, is Ren's final lament. But listen closely to the way he delivers it. There's a sort of anger beneath the sadness. The shame is shared, it's aimed at all of us. Society, systems, silence. The C9 rings out, unresolved, dissonant, and unfinished. Because the story isn't really over. The tale ends, but the cycle doesn't. Screech's tale is a sort of, I think it's a tragic continuation in Ren's 3-part saga, a grim middle act that bridges trauma and consequence. It picks up the immediate aftermath of Jenny's tale, but instead of healing, we spiral even deeper into the chaos. It's not a redemption arc, it's a continued descent, isn't it? Screech, a child of the streets, is presented not as a villain, but as a broken boy. His nickname, his bravado, his violence, all masks for vulnerability. Ren crafts him as both perpetrator and product, a boy hardened by circumstance, numbed by drugs, chasing power in a world that's left him powerless. Musically, this song is tightly fused to its emotions. Finger-picked sorrow becomes violent distortion. Flamenco flourishes melt into punk power chords. The shifts in sound mirror Screech's mental unraveling. It's a genius use of guitar as a narrative language as well. And thematically, I feel the song is soaked in loss. We've got loss of life, both Jenny and Screech's, loss of childhood. Screech was just 14. Loss of empathy. Society sees the headline, not the human. Loss of justice, because no one really wins and the system fails everyone. But perhaps most heartbreakingly, it shows how close people can be to different outcomes, 1 street apart. Jenny and Screech were both victims of their environments. Their lives might have crossed in love or friendship or recovery, but instead they collided in violence. Ren doesn't preach in this song or the last one, he narrates, and in doing so he forces us to feel. He reminds us that every monster might be someone's scared little boy, and every tragedy is a story with roots far deeper than a single night. And so the tale ends not with closure but with reflection. 2 bodies, 1 city, such a shame. Whew. In this song, in this whole thing, I once again I hear Plan B's influence in Ren's work on this, particularly the song Kids, which you can find on Plan B's his debut album, Who Needs Actions When You Got Words. Off the top of my head, I think it might be the first track, and it is a hard listen. But I would suggest going and listening to that if you can stomach it, and see if you agree with me there. I don't know. It's I feel like Screech was somewhat born from a bit of an influence from that song. I may be totally off there, but if Ren kind of turned around in an interview and said that, then I wouldn't be sort of overly surprised. There's some similar themes going on there. Yeah, it's an amazing piece, and yeah, as with Jenny's Tale, it's all 3 of these songs, they never lose their impact, do they? It doesn't matter how many times you watch them. I've watched this video, listened to this song quite a few times in order to do this deep dive and write these parts. But it's still tough going, isn't it? But thanks again for joining me, guys. I'll be back next week with the 3rd and final installment of this trilogy. And until then, take care of yourselves. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Take care. Peace and love. Bye.